Welcome, everybody, to this seminar from APRU Indigenous Knowledge Network. And it is with the most highest admiration and pride that I present Beliza Coro, our speaker tonight. Um, Beliza is a graduate from Universidad San Francisco de Quito, uh, uh, which I belong to and Beliza belongs to. Our mascot is a dragon, so we are dragons for life. And although in the webpage of APRU, you can find the Beliza's bio, I have to tell you very proudly that she is among the most outstanding graduates from the Indigenous program at the Universidad San Francisco de Quito. Besides the fact that she studied at the university, her life is an example of how motivation from a young age can take you to extremely high places, but not only in the sense of developing yourself as a person, but how you can contribute to society. And the fact that her life achievements at her very young age has done not only for the university, but for the country and for the world and for the region, because Beliza right now works for Telefonica and is the director of sustainability for LATAM, for Latin America. And that it's a huge leap, not only for a regular person, but on the fact that she is probably one of the only indigenous person in Telefonica working, but it's a woman and she has broken a lot of barriers through the process. And this has led to a recognition by the Founders Committee of the Universidad San Francisco that she received this year. And I am a primary witness of how this young woman that I met some few years ago bloom into this amazing, magnificent person. And you're going to have the chance to hear from herself tonight this story. So without further ado, I'm leaving Beliza Coro to speak to you. And by the way, everybody, Beliza is having a birthday today, and she put aside this time for us, and her family is waiting to celebrate her birthday for her. So I want to applaud that and thank you, Belisa, so much. I know that you have demonstrated your love and passion for what we do always, and I thank you for that publicly. Welcome, Belisa.
Okay, I think you can hear me. So thank you so much, David. Yes, that's my birthday. It's a very crazy day and very busy day, but I'm so happy to hear with you, with all of you. For me, it's an honor to conversation in this space and to tell about my history and my path in my professional, personal, and for sure in my academic life. Okay, thank you so much, David. So, as I say, for me, it's a great honor to be here in this space and to tell about my story of achievements and challenges and fear and a lot of things that I had in my life. So, the next, please. To beginning, next slide. Thank you. To beginning, I would like to tell some data to understand the reality of women in Latin America. The region, the Latin America region, total population is projected to reach more than 600 million in 2024. And according to the Economic Commission of Latin America and the Caribbean, approximately 332 million of these people are women. and the region remains the most unequal in the world, despite the progress made. And in this context, the gender gap continues to widen. Next, please. But what is the situation of Indigenous women in this region? The Indigenous women have faced multiple types of violence and discrimination for many years, and the inequality gaps is part of their lives. And many people and countries, not just in Ecuador, and other countries in Latin America, say that the Indigenous woman is a minority. But it isn't true because Indigenous women have voice, have history, and they represent at least they represent at least half of the population. In 2022, the Convention of the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, which is CEDAW, adopted General Recommendation 39 on the rights of Indigenous women and girls. And their recommendation called on states to develop and implement comprehensive policies to better protect their human rights. The next, please. Next slide, please. Thank you. But what is the situation of Indigenous population in Ecuador? Ecuador is a country with intense ethnic and cultural diversity, and also is home of millions of people belong to this community. We are more than 7 millions in this country, in Ecuador, and a large part of this group are women who are part of this indigenous community, exactly 18 indigenous groups. But indigenous women have been protagonism uprising, demanding individual and collective rights, and for that reason have obtained various recognition in the constitution, in other laws, and in the different topics like political and legal moments. But the indigenous women today continue to be victims of various forms of discrimination and inequality. Races, serious violence of their human rights. Also, many women in Ecuador, indigenous women, live in situations where basic needs are not met. Next, please. And also, I would like to refer in this space that the situation of indigenous women in Ecuador. And for that, I would like to mention this report on the third anniversary of the Fourth World Conference of Women and Adoption of Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action. In this context, the Ecuadorian 2024 national report was related, and this phrase was writing: poverty in Ecuador has the face of indigenous women living in rural areas. This phrase is so critical because indigenous women are one of the most vulnerable groups in Ecuador. For example, the multidimensional poverty rate of indigenous women reached more than 78%, which is more than 40% points above average Ecuadorian women, which is the 37%. And in this context and in this situation of indigenous women, I would like to ask a question. Is change possible? Next, please, David. Is change possible? For that reason, I would like to watch a video with all of you in this space.
Soy Beliza Coro y esta es mi historia. Era apenas una niña cuando empecé a trabajar en el mercado vendiendo verduras. Los que trabajaban en la noche debían desocupar la cama para que podamos descansar los del día. Estaba perdida como tantos otros niños y niñas. Pero alguien creyó en mí y en mis sueños. Me invitaron a un proyecto para que pueda seguir con mis estudios. Romper estereotipos establecidos para una mujer indígena y abrir oportunidades para otras fue siempre mi objetivo. Conseguí una beca en una de las universidades más prestigiosas del país. Y fui la primera mujer purúa en graduarse con honores. Hoy estoy decidida a llegar aún más lejos. Seguiré mi maestría en Madrid. No hay duda que los sueños se pueden hacer realidad.
Hay personas que creen que todo es posible. Nosotros creemos en esas personas. Fundación Telefónica. Elegimos creer.
Thank you so much, David. And this video is part of my history of life. And I would like to tell, as I said, this path, this life that I have. And can you put that? So this picture is so important for me. The first one, I'm with my mother in my Indigenous community. And the second is a picture from my grandmother. As you can see, it's a I creation because I don't have a picture from my grandmother. But this picture is so important because my grandmother never knew what the formal education was, and my mother barely managed to come the first years of school. For that reason, I'm the first generation that I have the opportunity to go to the university. And I would like to tell my history for the beginning. And can you put the next slide, please? As I say, my name is Beliza Coro. I am Indigenous community from Purua region in my country. And since I was a child, I have been deeply proud of my roots. And I learned that my indigenous attire and my long hair tied with traditional ribbons are a symbol of respect to my ancestor, to my mother, to my grandmother. Nevertheless, my story started as many other people's story who came from rural areas, from poor families, for indigenous community. And I am a second girl, so when I was born, my family was very disappointed because they had a baby girl. I have a sister, and my father was expected a baby boy. Despite of this disappointment, my family decided I could leave. For that reason, I am telling you about my history today. However, I faced many difficulties at home, a lot of violence, a lot of kind of violence in my family. And for that reason, one day my family decided to leave the indigenous community and go to one of the biggest cities in Ecuador called Guayaquil, which is located in the coast region of Ecuador. When I arrived in a big city, I was very excited because I thought I would have a better quality of life. I have dreams. I can access to the quality education, to the health. My family can work. That's incredible, I said. However, my family had greater needs, and for that reason, my sister and I had to work in a local market selling fruits and vegetables. Thus, during my childhood, I was immersed in the world of child labor. A life with a lot of limitation and violence. And in this context, my destiny had already been plotted, and certainly did not include education or higher education or professional career. But however, education changed my life. Next, please. I said education changed my life. Yes, the education changed my life in the most beautiful ways possible. Thanks to the support of a lot of foundation, especially private foundation and child labor eradication project, I stopped working and had the opportunity to attend elementary school. Then I have the opportunity to go to high school and then to the university. then to the academic scholarship called Diversidad Étnica, and other scholarship for private foundation, such as Hans Seidel Foundation, which is from Germany, and other foundation like Fundación Telefónica, which is from Spain. I studied law in the Universidad San Francisco de Quito, one of the best university in my country. And that was a big objective for me. After 5 years of study and many experiences, I graduated as a lawyer. And this achievement and this opportunity gave me more opportunities to follow my education in my professional life. And that was dream come true, because I said my mother never knew what formal education was. And my mother barely managed to complete the first years of school. I become the first generation of my family to go to the university. I graduated as a lawyer many years ago, exactly in 2013, and the university told me that I was the first Indigenous woman to graduate with honors and dedicate these achievements in my life, in my academic life, to my grandmother and my mother, who were always there for me. My university graduation, this achievement was just the beginning. I filled myself with goals, with dreams in this academic life, and I wanted to continue preparing for master's degree. For that reason, I studied 2 master's degree in Europe, and in 2023, I graduated from my PhD program, law program. And definitely that day was one of my happier days of my life, because I was able to prove myself that I could do everything I wanted if I work hard. But days later, my mother passed away, but she was my inspiration to write my PhD. Sorry, I'm very emotional in this moment for me. It's so important to tell the story with all of you. But when my grandmother passed away, it was so sad. And this is my story, my academic life. And also I would like to share with you my professional life. That reason, David, can you put the next slide, please? And this is the chapter of my professional life in a multinational company. When I was studying law, I became interested in a business, in a corporate law. So I had a dream to become a corporate lawyer. However, many people, friends, told me that it was impossible for a young Indigenous woman with low economics, with limited resources, to be in that type of corporate and business space, which are excluded for Indigenous groups. But I persist and started working as a lawyer at one of the world's leading multinational telecommunication company. But this was only the beginning. At practicing as a lawyer in Ecuador, I had opportunity to travel to other countries to work as a legal advisor. I live and work in London as a lawyer. And then I traveled to Madrid, to the headquarters of the telecommunication company, and work as a corporate lawyer, advising in innovation issues such as digital business, privacy, the GDPR law, other regulation. And also, and most important, I had opportunity to learn from CEOs, global leaders, and mentors, and that helped me grow exponentially in my professional life. Next, please. This chapter of my professional life in a multinational company is also connected with our region in Latin America. Because after the entire high-level learning process in Europe, one day I received a beautiful invitation to work in a multinational group, in this multinational group in Latin American unit. I immediately accept, because I knew that this opportunity to impact the lives of more Indigenous, especially Indigenous women, with my work. During these years, I had a chance to work with people, teams, and leaders for all Latin America in the implementation of project initiatives, programs, and to close the digital divide. The objectives is to work people in this topic, in the digital inclusion. That is my role actually. During this process, I never stopped studying and training, and for that reason, I had many opportunities. One in particular that I'm very proud, I was accepted into the 2024 and 2025 high-level mentor program of Club Train 30% plus Ecuador chapter. And this program is led by executive president and CEOs of the most important companies in Ecuador. And these people help to women to strengthen their skills with our objectives. We need more indigenous girls, more indigenous women as leader in our company, in Ecuador, in all Latin America. I'm the first indigenous woman to have had the opportunity to be in this space, but I don't want to be the only one. I would like to have many more young professionals to have the same professional development opportunities that I have. Because I deeply believe that there is a space for all women. There is a space for indigenous women in corporate space. Over the years, also, I have learned that the empathetic and humanic leadership produce better results. For that reason, I would like to continue to building this kind of leadership in my life. And this is my story, and my achievements also are based on a strongly belief that there are no limits. Also, I think that the life is not determined by a social or economic circumstances we face. That was my case. Instead, I think it is determined by our abilities, for our hard work, for discipline, and of course, for our sense of responsibility. The next, please. And this chapter of my story, called Raising Our Voices for Important Causes, in this chapter, I had the opportunity to change my life to education, I said. For that reason, I wanted to share my experiences with others, especially indigenous girls, boys, and young people, to wanted to tell them about the journey I took and to motivate them. I believe that this action is crucial. During these years, I never had a role model to tell me how to deal with different circumstances in my work, how to resolve the problem of racism, discrimination. And that was the first one in this kind of space is a big responsibility for me. That's why also I have the great responsibility to other girls and women who want to pursue this career in the corporate world. Also, I deeply believe that in the value of reciprocity, because as Ruth Barner Gibson said, you are a member of community, you are a member of a state. You are blessed with a certain talents, you should use that talent, your education, that opportunity, that space to make things a little better for people who are not fortunate as you. For that reason, I always try to share my journey with others, like today in this space, so they can follow their dreams despite of their circumstances, limitation, and their differences. Also, I think it is crucial to be door opener because I have a lot of leaders, mentors, bosses, friends who open doors, and for that, I had a lot of opportunities in my academic and my professional life. Since 2012, I have the opportunity to share my own story, as I say, in many summits in which the target was indigenous women, indigenous people, in order to inspire them to follow their dreams and never give up. I deeply believe in the value of reciprocity and improve their lives from our experience and hard work. There are more stories like mine, people who break down their barriers that society had established for minorities, but many people still face lack of education, discrimination, gender violence, and the lack of respect and guarantee of their rights. Also, I would like to say that as Indigenous women, I have lived myself the violence and discrimination, but I have faced them and I have done more. I believe in the diversity and inclusion in the different areas of our society, especially in the corporate world, in the corporate world, in the corporate space. Next, please. Because I think that diversity is a strategic factor. When we place our trust in people, we recognize their uniquenesses, their distinctive talents, and their distinct ways of doing things. And also, more important, when we support them in finding a place to team up on projects and initiatives, the results are magnificent. Promoting diversity and inclusion requires first and foremost the commitment of the decision maker, which is CEOs, leaders, and a concrete strategy with programs, action, initiatives, and policies. Next, please. Diversity is a strategic factor because an inclusive leadership style is addition to respond to the principle of social justice, offer significant business advantage. It allows us to attract and retain the best talents, foster innovation, and connect with a diversity and change society. Opening doors to genuine diversity and inclusion change lives. That is my case, and contributes to the development of a more equal and equitable society. And to finish, I would like to share with you this phrase from Nelson Mandela. What counts in life is not the mere fact of having life, but the difference we have made in the lives of others, which will determine the meaning of life we live. Thank you so much for this opportunity. For me, it's an honor to share my story. And thank you again, Yubai.
Thank you, Beliza, and I really have to thank you again because you did a great job in terms of the time that you used for your presentation. So I'm trying to, we've been promoting everybody to write questions. So please write your questions in the chat so we can address. But in the meantime, um, there's a there's something that I would like to ask you that has been a recurrent point of study among people interested in indigenous and minorities that have come to the university. Is there a point in your life that you felt that everything that you do is not enough? That there's always a demand from or an expectation from the people around you that you have to do more than everyone else. I don't know if I've made myself clear, but is this feeling
I think so.
okay? So because you're an indigenous woman and you have a scholarship and you're doing this, you have to do you have to do more than other people have to do in order to get to where you are.
Yeah, that's true because I think I have a PhD, and also I think when I'm indigenous women from a poor community, you have to run more, you have to do more, you have to turn more. My first language is Quechua, and I speak Spanish for sure because I live in the Latin America, but it was a big challenge for me to study English because I never had the opportunity to study English. For that reason, so sorry for my English accent and everything. And you can do more for sure, and especially in this corporate world, you have to do more. You have to learn more projects. You have to study more. In my case, I have two master's degree. I have a PhD. So it is so hard for me because you are not just women. You are not just part of this community. You are indigenous. For that reason, you have to do, of course, you have to work more in the project. You have to, I think, run more like in marathon. It's necessary. And I think it's unfair because we, it's unfair because I'm indigenous woman. I have talent for being in the different position, but in some case the discrimination and other factor, it's affect you in your professional life.
Okay. So we have somebody asking a question. If you have one moment to give a message to a little girl, what would you tell her?
I I would like to say that she is important. She has a voice and their dreams important, and never give up in your life, your dreams, your objective. And I know that is a girl. In my case, I was a girl when I was born as a girl, so that was my first issue. But she is important. I would like to say that and keep doing the best that she can. I would like to say that.
Okay.
I'm reading the comments and thank you so much to all of you. This beautiful message. Thank you, thank you. Someone say if I can answer the question in Espanol, in Spanish. So,
Oh, well,
you
this is
know,
an interesting question.
yeah.
Do you think big uh, you should answer it. So they're saying, do you think that you want to explore working outside of Ecuador? And I think I know the answer to that. You should tell them.
But I don't know if I want, I can answer in Spanish. I don't know if you want.
No, but the question is from an English speaker. So they're saying, do you always want to do your professional development inside Ecuador, or are you open to work and do more outside of Ecuador?
I think the second because I think the international experience is very rich in our career, especially in a multinational space, especially in corporate law. So for sure, I would like to explore other countries. I would like to improve in my skills in other region in Europe, also in a law context. And for sure, I think that the international space is very useful in our career as a corporate lawyer. And for sure, I'm working in Ecuador. I think that also we can learn in our country, but I think to have a career in international companies a plus is very rich.
And just to add to that answer, I think we're very fortunate that Belisa has actually returned to Ecuador because she's already been outside, and um, I'm almost positive that things would have been a lot easier for her outside of Ecuador. And coming back to Ecuador, it's coming back to fight to several of these ghosts that we have around. For the audience, right now, this very, very minute, this entire week, we have a strike by the indigenous organizations because the president of Ecuador decided to cut the subsidies on diesel fuel. And this um, uh, brings another question. So, what do you think can bring a new type of relationship between the indigenous leaderships and the government and society as a whole? What do we need to heal? Because the wound that has been here for over 500 years is not healing. And what do you see, or what would you like to see in the future for your child different in our country?
Maybe I don't have a right answer, David, but I think access to the quality education is crucial. We have to work the education for everybody, especially for vulnerable people from indigenous community. I think that's the key right now. Also, we need initiative project and program from government to this population. And I would like to see in 5 years, 10 years, a lot of girls, a lot of boys from indigenous community to access to the higher education, to graduate for the best universities. I would like to see a lot of women writing their own history of life. And that's my dreams. For that reason, I'm in this space, telling about my story, telling about my piece, telling about my experiences in the professional academic life. That's my dreams. I would like to have more indigenous women in this kind of space, telling about their dreams and their objectives. That's my dreams.
Okay. And now we have a more down to earth question. As a woman, as an indigenous woman, have you experienced discrimination in your job, in your working space? And how did you deal with it?
Yes, I had a lot of phases of discrimination and violence, I think. And yes, with a leader from many parts of the world, especially from Europe. And I have a very hard experience when I think 2 years ago, when I was applying for a position in my company, and the director in that moment from Europe said to me that I'm not the right person for that position because I'm not like her. And I say, but how like her? It's, you know, because I don't have the color of your skin, I don't have your aspect, the European aspect in a physical way. And maybe that was the situation. And then I say, no, I am very proud of who I am. I'm indigenous woman. I had preparation. I had a career in this company. So maybe for the next opportunity, but I have to do more, and I have to face and to put my work in a better way and doing my work in the best way. And someday that position will be mine. That was
Okay.
my experience. But I
Eh,
believe in my capacity. I believe in my skills. And for that reason, today, if someone say you don't have the characteristic of Europe or other part of the world, I say, yes, I'm indigenous community. I'm from indigenous community. I am indigenous woman. I'm very proud of that.
So now comes a strategic question. Willie Lema, who's studying, I think, outside of Ecuador right now, he says, how did you manage to put a balance between your personal life, studying a PhD, and working? Because you were doing all those things at once, always. You have always been doing all those three things. And Belisa has not tell you that she's married, she has a husband, and she has a kid. So,
I have kids. I have pets, but I have kids. Yes, that's true. This is a good question. I think when you have to divide your life in this three front, it's so hard. I think it's so hard. First of all, the answer is so hard, but we were capable to do everything that I want if you order your schedule in the best way. And today I am breaking the rules, which is it is the moment with my family. It's the birthday day. I am so emotional because I don't have my grandmother here with me. And but I think it's so important for me to order your schedule in the best way that you can. For one side, you are a corporate lawyer. For other side, you are academic and you are mother. In my case, as you say, David, I'm mother of a boy, a baby boy, and this is also a big responsibility. And the answer is you have to do the best in this three front.
okay. So, Willie, there it is, discipline. And I think that's something that we don't learn in school, but it's something that life teaches us when we have to juggle a lot. Um, the former provost of USFQ, Carlos Montúfar, used to say that whenever he wanted something done, he was looking for the busiest person at the university because he knew that that person was going to juggle time and find a way to do it. So being very busy pushes you to optimize time.
That's
There's a question that I missed that says, what do you think? Where is it? Hold on. Uh, what do you think? It's what makes you resilient? Because your life
also,
shows that you're resilient. So, what do you think makes you resilient?
I think my objectives, my dreams, I think that's important. Now I have a family, I have a baby boy. So I think it's so important to have resilience in our life. Yes, we have a lot of mistakes, we have a lot of issues, but we have to keep doing the best. I think that's the key. And I would like to write my story, and I would like to inspire other girls to continue their lives and continue their dreams. And that I think that is my inspiration for me, my dreams, my baby boy, and my family. I think my mother and my grandmother telling a lot of stories, and my mother never had opportunity to go to the university, and I can see a lot of limitation that she had in in her life, and I think it's the inspiration.
Okay. In
More question maybe.
to make sure that I'm not missing this. Um, what I think I'm gonna have to read the whole thing. So, You spoke about the strategic importance of diversity, which I found compelling and relatable. I am curious, beyond framing diversity in terms of what it can produce or solve, how can we balance diversity's strategic value with the intrinsic worth of individuals and communities beyond their utility? So they're asking, yes, diversity is useful, but how can you balance the intrinsic value of diversity plus in contrast with the utility value of diversity? This is a tough
I
question.
do believe that diversity is a strategic factor because it gives opportunity to other girls and the population, the diversity population, to have the opportunity to work in other contexts, in other space. So I deeply believe in the strategic factor of diversity. I don't think that's it's part of a model or something in equal, as I say the word. But for this year, I had a change of lives with program diversity, with digital inclusion in our country. And for that reason, I'm telling about this kind of project initiative from Mexico to Argentina. So I deeply believe in the strategic factor of inclusion and diversity programs. I think that's the beginning to believe in this project, to continue working in this project without limitation. I think that's the key.
And how much are you afraid of failure?
Sorry, I can hear you
How
very
much are you afraid of failure or failing?
that's not much. I think it's part of our life, of a part of our, your experiences. So I think it's part of that you can do more. I think it's part of our life.
Yeah. I ask you this question because
Yes.
throughout your talk, you have talked about all your achievements and your success, but um, because you are so energetic and full of courage, you don't talk about failure. And I think I kind of like knew the answer because you have never stop 1 minute to think about the possibility of failing. You just go and look for something and pursue and continue pursuing that with strength. Okay. Um, I think we're almost ready to say thank you, thank you so very much for giving us
You're
your time and
welcome.
your birthday. Go celebrate with your family. I will be thinking of you every day. And I want to publicly, now that I have this group, thank you for all the work that we've been doing in the past few years. Because we have another project on the side. Beliza is helping us
That's
to
true.
put
Mhm.
together a master's program for um, what is it? Public management, public and private management with an emphasis on indigenous territories. So we hope this will be one of those products in the next year. So thank you, Belisa, for this, and
Yeah.
thank you for your time. And now David is going to put the card for our next month speaker. And I am um, uh, uh, very proud to announce our next speaker. And we've been shifting to Latin American speakers, and sorry, but this time it's going to be another Ecuadorian speaker. Okay, so Diego Titoaña is another graduate from USFQ, and after graduation, he was part of, he entered the Ministry of Exterior and pursue a diplomatic career, a professional diplomatic career. And his first post was at the United Nations. And he has been very interested on uh, uh, everything that has to do with the protections of indigenous rights and indigenous languages and indigenous knowledges, not only for Ecuador, but worldwide. And we will have a chance to speak with him and learn uh, what he's now interested on giving to indigenous people around the world in terms of training to be able to pursue the goals in world COP in world events like COPs, the meetings for climate change. So I urge you to register, and we will spread the news. If you are interested on sharing Beliza's talk, it will be posted on the APRU webpage, and you can access the webpage in a couple of days, and that will be available for you. I want to thank everybody for your assistance. Muchas gracias a los compañeros hispanoparlantes que nos han dado su presencia esta noche. Y feliz cumpleaños una vez más, Belisa. Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias a todos. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yupaychani, muchísimas gracias.